So I'm going to start reading, all right? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay. Chapter 7. We're going to read this book, start reading this book, and we are going to start reading, start on the page, page 97, chapter 7. Okay? So if you are, this is your first time joining, we started reading this book, or I started reading this book live about 3 weeks ago, and I take on 2 chapters every reading session, or 1 chapter every reading session, and I come on typically weekends, and if I am able to, I also come on live in the evenings, weekdays. All right, so even if you are not able to join live every time I'm supposed to be reading live, you can catch the replay and ask any questions you want to ask, or whatever question you have in the comment section below, and then I'm going to reply to your question as it comes. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading this book, chapter 7. All right. So, everything you ever wanted to know about home birth but were afraid to ask. Home birth without fear. If you join me, please let me know also if you can hear me very well. Sometimes I have technical problems with my microphone, maybe in the beginning or in the middle, and it stops working. All right, so if you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up so I know that I am with you and I'm not talking without anybody hearing me. All right, beautiful. Thank you. All right. So I knew my body could birth a baby the way millions of babies had been birthed before me. And I come to realize that the only person who believed I could without doubt was me. Yes. So if you believe, you can achieve, right? Right. So even Allah has mentioned that in the Quran, saying that you cannot change a person until the person himself wants to be changed, right? You cannot change an ummah until the ummah themselves want to be changed. So it is a choice. It is you who can choose whether this is going to be an empowered birth for you or a disempowering birth for you. So when you choose to have an empowered birth, you're going to do everything in your control, everything in your favor. You use your privileges, right? Your privileges, everything that you have in control to be able to get an empowered birth. But if you choose that, oh, okay, birth just happens to anybody and this is what my birth is going to be, I don't have a say, I don't have a choice, I don't have to choose, I don't have to prepare, then yeah, you're going to get what you want to get. At the end of the day, you're going to get what you have prepared for, right? Right. So your intention, and the Prophet ﷺ also said to us that إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, whatever action comes with an intention, right? So if you intend to have an empowered birth, inshallah, that is going to happen for you. If you intend not to have an empowered birth, to have a disempowering birth, inshallah, that is going to happen to you. If you intend to just wing it and say, okay, I don't care, I don't have anything to prepare for, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, then anything that happens, happens, and that's what you wished for. So that's why it is encouraged that we actually take an active position, an active position in whatever we want to do as a Muslim. As Muslims, we have to be very active, right? not passive, not sitting down for things to be given to us, but actively seeking for that. We know that Allah is going to give us Jannah, but again, by His mercy, right? But again, you have to ask Him. You have to actively, continuously ask Him, right? So that's the same thing. We know that birth would be empowering. It's going to be beautiful. But we also have to prepare for it to be even beautiful, right? So that's what this thing is. I am going to start reading the chapter now. All right. So if home birth is what feels right to you, I am here to tell you, you can do this. When everyone's telling you you can't, I'm telling you you can. Many, many women before you have birthed their babies without a hospital. That's true. In their own homes. Probably women in your own family not that far removed from you. Ignore everyone who's telling you you can't do this. You can. When some strangers in line at the grocery checkout aisle or checkout line or chides in, you are going to wish for an epidural, or when your favorite aunt admonishes you over the dinner table, that's not safe. Let me be the voice you hear that says, you can do this. Yeah, you can, inshallah. And it's not only a home birth, right? When she's talking about home birth, and it's not, and you think you cannot have a home birth in the location that you are, yeah, you cannot have legally, you cannot have home birth, but you can also prepare to have a physiologically aligned birth in the hospital as well, right? You do what you can. Like I said, going back again, do what you can, prepare as much as you can, read, join these reading sessions. We explain, you ask questions, and then all of those things. You pick up 1 or 2 books from the library, from Amazon. I'm going to link the some of the books in the description box after I'm done reading. Pick up those books, 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, find a doula if you can. Join a childbirth education class if you can. Soak in as much as you can. And then, yeah, go in as somebody who is ready to have the next honest, honorable, God-fearing, Allah-fearing president of the world, giving birth to that person. Imagine, right? So if you knew that you were going to give birth, you are going to give birth to the president of the world, not the president of the country, but the president of the world that we live in right now, all the countries that is very, everything going on and everything is just, oh my God, right? So if any of us knew or know that we're going to be giving birth to a child who is going to, inshallah, lead people to Allah, lead people to justice, lead people to seeking and knowing and loving Allah, how are you going to prepare? How? I definitely know that. Absolutely. You are going to prepare in a grand way, right? So what if? What if? So that's the thing, right? You don't know. So you prepare the best you can. And one of the ways you can prepare is empowering yourself with knowledge. Come on in, let's read and discuss and have a community, inshallah. All right. Maybe you will wish for an epidural, but what does that person who brought that negativity into your life know about your body and your baby and your journey? Everyone has an opinion. When your plan is anything even remotely against the norm, you are going to get a lot of comments. I know it gets exhausting hearing everyone judge you all the time. Make your bubble. It doesn't mean putting your head in the sand. It means saying, I am aware. I am not ignoring risks. I am more aware of my risk than you are. I have done and continue to do my homework about this. If you can't deal with it, walk away, out of my bubble. We need more honest, unbiased conversation happening around home birth. I have a secret to tell you. We can empower ourselves through educating ourselves, and we can make decisions based on information and intuition instead of based on fear. There is a lot of fear and misconception about home birth. A lot of people see it as an extreme choice, something also crunchy, off the grid. Anti-modern medicine families do. There is also a misunderstanding that those who want them are completely in the know about them, and everyone else is afraid to ask. But the truth is, there is not a lot of good, open, unbiased conversation going on about home birth. Home birth is an option, one among others, and we should treat it the same way, because you deserve to have your questions answered without shame or judgment. If you've ever wondered about home birth or had questions, you deserve to explore all the potential ways to have a home birth that works for you and your family. There are variations of normal with home birth, just as with all births. I don't tell people how or where to birth. I just want all birthing women to know they do have options and that they deserve respect and support through this journey. Home birth can be a beautiful and wonderful option. It's comforting to be in your own space without people putting you on a time limit, without the sound of beeping machines, and with no one touching you when you don't want to be touched, no one coming in and out, turning on the light, interrupting your birth space. Your labor land mindset should not be unnecessarily interrupted. There is a natural flow to labor and birth mentally and biologically, and we want that to be respected and honored. To constantly interrupt with doubts and checks and unwanted intervention suggestions. The familiarity of laboring and birthing at home can offer a feeling of peace to you and your partner. You have complete control over who is in your space in home birth, while in a hospital, you just don't. With a home birth, you also shouldn't have to fight as much if you have the right midwives and birth team surrounding you. You get to invite in only people who make you feel empowered and proud, people who support you. I'm not saying you can't make this happen with a hospital birth. However, you are not in somebody else's home or territory, so you can feel like you are truly in charge, because you are. For some people, that's really important. For some people, it's not. A birth without fear, an empowered birth, will be different for every person. Some women feel safer birthing in a hospital. Some women feel safer birthing at home. It is not competition, and we can feel how we do for ourselves while respecting others who are on a different journey than our own. For me, home birth was the only place I could have the space where all the people in the room believe in me. I didn't want to ask permission to do basic things like eat and walk around. I also didn't want anyone interrupting our bonding with baby. In my experience, the bigger relief was that after our baby was born, in our own space. Only the tests we wanted done were done, and no one was interfering as we got to know our baby. My other children woke up to find Brendan and me relaxing on the couch in the living room, and they all came in close to meet their baby sister. It was the most empowering experience, not just because of the healing birth, but because of how our postpartum began as a family of 6. Home birth is a safe option for many women, but it does come with its own set of questions, concerns, and plans to make. If you are curious about home birth, but you are afraid to bring it up, or if you have brought it up and are getting judgments from friends and family, here is the honest and open conversation you've been looking for. I want to empower you by giving you the information on why people choose home birth and answering questions that you are not going to find anywhere else. You might find after reading all this information and all these chapters that laboring at home close to transition and then transferring to a hospital for the birth is the way for you. Maybe after reading all this, you decide, nope, I want a hospital birth. And maybe you have had one or more hospital births and then decide you want to go for a home birth. There is no one way or right way. You, your care provider, and your birth team are the only ones who can know, based on you, your health, and your baby's health, what is best for you and your baby. No shame, no judgment, just love. If you do decide a hospital birth is right for you, that doesn't mean all this information is useless. With the right providers, you can come close enough to creating this home birth feeling in a hospital birth if that's where you need to be. I was saying that earlier. You can have a beautiful home birth or birthing center birth. Even if you don't want, you can have a beautiful hospital or birthing center birth, even if you don't want a home birth. The question and ideas here can inspire you to create a comfortable, empowering, or even healing hospital birth. And if what you really want deep down is to home birth, let's do this. Right. So everything that she said, I was summarizing it. I was saying it earlier before I even read it. Right. So you can prepare, you can do all of those things, even if you don't want to have your baby at home, even if you don't want to give birth to your baby right where you sleep and you wake up and all of those things at home birth, right? So today's topic is discussing home birth, all right, how to prepare for it and how to actually consider that option if that's the option you want. We read previous reading session, I read about hospital birth, having empowered hospital birth. I also read about having empowered C-section birth. I also read about having empowered VBAC birth, whether it's at home or in the hospital. I also gave a lot of information about how to create or how to make your birth plan philosophy and bringing that up to your provider, bringing that up to your care provider in the care team. We read a whole lot, and today we are reading about home birth. It's not a lot of people who think home birth doesn't happen in this country, especially in the United States. I can tell you, a lot of women give birth at home in this United States, okay? Some states it's illegal to have your child at home, okay? In some states like New York, it's not illegal. It's not illegal. You can have New York and New Jersey, you can have your baby at home without going to the hospital. And then even after having the baby, you still will stay at home and have your early postpartum period journey starts and everything else, you choose not to take your baby to the hospital. As far as you are well, baby is well, everything is right, you roll on, right? Birth, giving birth is a natural physiological event. It is not a medical event, okay? Birth came into the medical system very late after a lot of women have given birth from home already, right? Because of a lot of other things that happen, some women need to be in the hospital to give birth. Some women really, really, really need to be monitored during birth, right? However, some women don't. Some women don't need to be monitored. Some babies don't need to be monitored. Some babies don't need to be in the hospital even, right? So you read up and you empower yourselves. You know what you want for your birth. You prepare for that. You know the legalities of your state or the country that you are in. You know how important that choosing, that option is for you. Then you start making preparation for it, right? You make intention. Like I said, going back again, as Muslims, we always make intention and then we put the rest into Allah's hands. That is not for us to control. Everything else that is in our hands to control, we do that. And then everything else that is not in our hands to control, we give it to Allah. Being at home and giving birth is not fighting the system. It is you following your internal and your instincts. Your instinct, as in, yeah, you believe that giving birth is a physiological event. It's just as a normal event that happens with eating, with going to the bathroom, with a lot of things that happen with us. And birth happens to a lot of women, a lot of millions across the globe, right? So it's some births don't need to be managed, right? So if you choose to give birth at home, that doesn't mean somebody has the right to shame you, okay? As far as you know that this is an option that is right for you, that is right for your family and for your baby, and you have made your own homework. You have done the homework, you have done the research, you have looked for the right team providers, team professionals, okay, around you. Even if you don't need any professional, you have to make sure that you have a plan B. Like we spoke about last time, having a birth center birth, right? When you choose to birth in the birth center, your midwife, make sure that your midwife has affiliation with a hospital. So just in case you need a hospital transfer, your midwife doesn't start, or your birth doesn't start from scratch when you get to be transferred to the hospital. You actually get transferred to the hospital and continue with the process like nothing else happened, right? So it's going to be the same thing with even home birth. When you choose to home birth and you choose to bring in a midwife, yeah, make sure that the midwife is affiliated with another hospital, just in case there is a hospital transfer. It's easy. And with hospital transfer, some women will be like, oh, it's kind of like a shame thing. No, or guilt thing. No, you cannot predict birth, right? Nobody can predict birth. Birth is for Allah to handle, right? So yours is to just prepare. Yours is to just prepare and wish and have that intention of having an empowered, safe, easy, whatever birth that you want, right? As physiological as it can be. If it happens that you need a hospital transfer, why not? You need it. Just go and have yourself and your baby continue with what you need to do, right? But the shame and the guilt should be out of it, and you have to be like really like that. Yeah, confidence going in because of reading, because of researching, because of knowing your options. But if you are not really confident going into birth, sometimes it becomes another trauma, right? That we are trying to prevent by empowering ourselves already. All right. So, yeah. So I'm moving on to the next part of the chapter, chapter 7. Again, if you're joining me, this is what I'm reading. Birth Without Fear. We started about some 3 weeks ago, 3 weekends. So I come on every weekend to read and explain and give some deeper explanation of what this book is all about. Okay, so if you're interested, you join me every weekend. I typically come on at 11. I announced that I'll be coming on at 10, but I'm not able to consistently do that. All right, so I come when time permits, when Allah makes his way, yeah, for me to come on. So I try to come on at least between 10 and 11 and then read up for about 1 hour to 2 hours, maybe 1 or 2 chapters. So if you're interested, please inform a lot of the women in your life, a lot of the women, sisters, even if they are not pregnant. This can be very, very informative information for them to keep in their toolkit when it's time for them to actually have babies, or they can empower others, right? Okay, so we're moving on. Variations of normal in home birth. I want to answer some of the most common questions I hear about home birth to help demystify it and to empower you to make the best choices for you and your baby. If you want more information on any of these issues, discuss them with your care providers. Water birth at home. Why do I see so many? What's it all about? Some women choose to labor in a tub or the shower because the water helps with pain relief and easing their way through transition. Note that you may have this option in a hospital or birthing center as well. So go ahead and ask around in case you end up transferring or if you are planning a hospital birth. Some women choose not only to labor in water but also to birth their babies in water because they believe birthing in water is a gentler transition from womb to vaginal canal to earth. In my experience, laboring in water close to and during transition is very good for easing pain. But I like to feel grounded and on land during birth, and there's an instinctual part of me that doesn't like water birth. So I only use the tub before I start pushing. That's her. So you would know what works for you. If this is what you want, you choose that and you work towards it. The most important thing to keep in mind is that water birth doesn't have to be all or nothing. It's an option. It can be great, but you certainly don't have to do it. And if your instincts are telling you otherwise, then don't worry about forcing it. If at some point you want to get yourself under some running water or sit in your tub during your home birth, then go ahead and give it a try. If birthing in water is something that interests you, make sure you discuss ahead of time with your care provider how they make sure baby is safe during the birth. Where do you get the tub? Some midwives have a birth tub they will bring, or you can rent a birth tub. Use your own tub or buy a kiddie pool. Yes, I have seen some women sit in their own regular tub at home and give birth to their babies. Some bring a whole big inflatable tub and put in some water in it. They rent it, and then they use it. Some only just have the shower running, and when it's time for them to start pushing the transition stage, they come out and they go and squat on the toilet or something, and they push out the baby, right? So it depends on what you want, and then also what your preparation are towards this choice. Okay. How do you keep the water warm? How do you empty it afterward? There are things your birth team will do. Your husband, partner, doula, and midwife will help with setting up and filling the tub, keeping it warm by adding hot water or needed if necessary, as needed if necessary. A midwife's tub may be heated and emptying it. A midwife's tub may be heated and emptying it usually by taking a hose, um, pipe hose, and letting it drain outside. It's good for your plants. Okay, so you can do what you can do. Maybe if you are even you have the tub and it's in your kitchen or in the living room, you have a pipe hose and you join it with the bathroom and it can drain out, or you join it with the outside depending on where you live, and then it's gonna drain out wherever it is, right? Do baby and I need to check in at the hospital for any reason afterward? Can I have a home birth and stop in at a hospital for any needed test, or even for a day or two for bonding with the help and support of nursing staff? Who checks on babies and my health in the first few days after birth? Who follows up? Your midwives can do everything they do at the hospital if mom and baby are both healthy and well. Like I said it again. I'm going to say it again. If your birth is a low risk pregnancy, if your pregnancy is a low risk pregnancy, you are well, baby is well, you are not diagnosed with any pregnancy disorders, or you have gone through so many discomforts of pregnancy, you are, it's basically a healthy pregnancy, right? Yeah, going in with a midwife, they know best what to do to align with what you want. And then also your instinct should tell you what aligns with you better. They are perfectly capable of doing all the newborn exams and doing stitches on mom. In some states, midwives can give Pitocin if needed. It is a synthetic oxytocin used to help the uterus contract during labor and or to control post-birth bleeding. Okay? Oxytocin is the actual hormone. It's the hormone that your body produces that supports childbirth and supports a whole series of other things in your body biologically. Pitocin, on the other hand, is a manufactured hormone-like substance that is meant to mimic the action of oxytocin. So when a woman is giving birth and oxytocin is not made to be generated, to be produced from your body, by your baby enough, yeah. And then also your birth is needing to be induced, or you ask your provider to induce you, or based on how labor is going, you might be you might need induction, then yes, Pitocin will be used on you to enhance the labor process, okay, to keep the labor process going and to make your uterus contract enough to birth your baby. So oxytocin is what your body produces and what your baby produces in line with the birth of your child. Oxytocin is produced a lot of the times. That's when we say is the love hormone. So when you are having a very beautiful time with your baby, that's when you have your baby already. If you are having an intimate time with your husband, you are laughing, you are happy, all of those things induce oxytocin production. So oxytocin is with the O. That is what your body produces, oxytocin. Pitocin is with a P. That is what artificially the medical system produces to support the contraction of your uterus when you are in labor if you need it. Sometimes some women don't need to be induced. Yeah. You don't need to be induced. You don't need to be induced. You don't need the Pitocin. You can carry on with labor, right? But sometimes some women might say, okay, I want to be induced at an early weeks of my pregnancy, 37 weeks, 38 weeks, right? As far as I am term, 38 weeks is term, right? It's considered as a term pregnancy. That's early 37, 37 and 6 days. 38 is early term, right? So if you need to be induced at that time, or you choose to be induced at that time, you can as well be induced with Pitocin and then also do certain things that can enhance oxytocin release from your body and from your baby by being intimate, okay? By having some good massage, by eating warm stuff, and just tuning your mind to be happy, to always have a positive, happy moment, as in laughing, trying to laugh through it, trying to maybe crack jokes or have somebody crack jokes for you so you can laugh. Listening to Quran keeps you in the zone, very calm space, and it gives you some zen, like, beautiful feeling, connecting with Allah. So for me, most of the time, I feel like I am in the present when I'm listening to the Quran a lot of the times. So it's an oxytocin boosting moment for me. You can find that for yourself if that is something that you want to try. Okay. I was even thinking just yesterday was Friday, during between the hours of Asr and Maghrib, I tried to remember to make dua a lot of the times, or dhikr a lot of times. Yesterday I forgot because I had a very eventful time. During that time at my workplace, we had an emergency. One of our clients needed to be transferred to the hospital, but she actually wasn't giving birth, right? She was having some difficult moment. She was really in pain and stuff like that. So I forgot. So when I remembered, it was already Maghrib, and I'm like, oh, subhanallah, it's past the time that I usually remember to actually say some dhikr and then say dua. And I remembered, I'm like, oh, maybe I should even bring in a series of coming on maybe one of these days on Fridays, inshallah, to do some 1 hour dhikr with the sisters who want to start to make it a habit, right? Not at that time of work, okay, but on Fridays, right? So I'll come on and then I'll just make dhikr without talking, without doing anything. If you want to engage, that's gonna be awesome. And yeah, we just make dhikr, whatever dhikr we want to make, silently or verbally, with our voice coming out. Not everybody, just me. Or we're gonna just listen in, and it's gonna go on and on and on. and maybe doing some dhikr towards birth, towards pregnancy, towards fertility, as in yeah, affirming the power that Allah brings to us, affirming the names of Allah, right? Names of Allah, the 99 names of Allah, and supporting it with the situation that we are in, whatever situation that you are in, right? Because it's one of the things that I also teach to some women. Yeah, connecting your situation with the names of Allah and making it like an affirmation for you, right? You, yeah, you get into the zone. So if it's something that you're interested, please give me a thumbs up again and then let me know. Okay, just click on that thing and let me know it's a good sounding thing for us to try it and see if it's gonna work, if it's gonna be helpful, inshallah. All right. So let me continue reading. I'm going to continue reading. If you have any question, let me know before I start the next part of the chapter. Did I even finish reading? No. Yeah. No questions? Okay. Let me make sure I'm sharing this on. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me move on. Your midwives can do everything. Oh, okay. So I was done reading this part. Let me start reading from there again. Your midwives can do everything they do at the hospital if mom and baby are both healthy and well. They are perfectly capable of doing all the newborn exams and doing stitches on mom. In some states, midwives can give Pitocin if needed. It is a synthetic oxytocin. Like I was explaining, I explained a whole bunch about Pitocin and oxytocin, used to help the uterus contract during labor and or to control post-birth bleeding. Post-birth bleeding is also called hemorrhage, okay? If there is anything going on with mom or baby, you can absolutely go to the hospital after birth. Transfer aren't just an option during birth. You can transfer during postpartum. Do you need to? Absolutely not. Most people just go to the pediatrician a few days after baby is born, or the midwife comes back a few days after birth to do follow-up exams, PKU tests, etc. But if anything comes up or you want to transfer to a hospital for any reason at any time, you can. As for a day or two of bonding with the help of and support of nursing staff, all I can say is, wouldn't that be nice? I wish we had that kind of postpartum care. You can hire postpartum doula or other support to come in and give you some extra help in those first few days. But otherwise, unfortunately, no. A hospital won't check you in after home birth, unless there is a physical need, unless something is wrong. Okay? What about birth certificates and other official documentations like social security numbers? Your midwife submits all that paperwork. So your midwife is a witness of you giving birth. So she would submit the paperwork for you for social security, for birth certificates, and any legal document that pertains to giving birth. Can I have a home birth if I am having twins? Yeah, and then also if you are not in the United States or anywhere that requires you to have a social security or something like that, you can still have your baby's birth certificate to be done after you having a baby. Yeah, you don't have to have the birth certificate right away. As far as the baby is born, and yeah, when you give birth to the baby, you just go to apply for the birth certificate, and that can be done for you. All right. Can I have a home birth if I am having twins? What kind of high risk situations affect my ability to have a home birth? Questions of high risk pregnancies and home birth depend on state laws. The question isn't really, is it legal for me to birth my baby at home? But according to state laws, it is legal for a midwife to attend my birth at home. Is it legal for a midwife to attend a twin birth at home? For twins, breached, and VBAC, among other high-risk situations, you will need to find out if it is legal for a midwife to attend. And if it is legal, you need to have that discussion with your care provider about what your risks are and what things you are going to do to support your unique situation. In the case of twins, for example, there should be additional midwives attending. Yes. Okay. So for that, in the United States, having twin birth, twin pregnancy is automatically going to put you on the high risk situation. So you are technically a high risk. So if you are going to plan for a home birth, you must know the legalities. You must also bring in two midwives instead of one. You must make sure that there are transfers. There might be transfer possibility if you're giving birth to the child, maybe one child and whatever it is. Yes. So make sure that all of those questions are answered by your midwife, by your doula if you have one. You also do a lot of research about that regarding that, and yeah, you make the decision based on that. Okay, all right. But I know some women give birth to twins um, um, through the birth canal, and then also from home. All right, so yeah, depending on what country you are, what state you are, the legality it's unique. So make sure that you know what legal issues that you have to follow, and what things you need to know to do and to get that on the way. Yeah, it's safe. Can midwives handle things like postpartum hemorrhaging if baby isn't breathing? If I need stitches, if there is meconium, if I need RH shots, what happens if something goes wrong? So these are serious questions, right? All birth and pregnancy come with risks, and these are absolutely important questions to ask the midwives you interview. In terms of what care midwives offer, a lot depends on the state, but in general, yes, midwives are trained to handle things like postpartum hemorrhage, if babies aren't breathing, and other situations. If something goes wrong, you will transfer to a hospital. Part of good midwife care means knowing when to transfer, right? So yeah, midwives, a lot of midwives are able to give stitches. Okay, they are able to give stitches. If you have a first degree tear, second degree tear, they are able to give stitches and do that. Third degree tear, depending on how your tear is, then yes, you might need to go to the hospital and get that stitched. Okay, midwives don't do episiotomy, and then yeah, midwives typically don't do that. Maybe some do, but not that I know of. Maybe, yeah. Episiotomy technically is not evidence based. Okay, so I know that a lot of midwives would rather a woman tear by herself than doing that cut through the rectum instead. Okay, so midwives give resuscitates a child who is not breathing. Okay, sometimes some baby, when they are given, when you give birth to some babies, yeah, they take their time before they take their first breath, and that is normal. Sometimes, yeah, if baby doesn't take their first breath for some few more seconds than what they're supposed to, you give the baby a tap, you give a baby a smack, right? And to revive the baby so baby can like really start to breathe on their own with their lungs. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit because just as traumatic as birth can be for the mama, birth is also traumatic for the babies, okay? They are working alongside you. They also instinctively, Allah has put in us every creature that has soul to protect themselves. Every creature, even if it is a plant, even if it is an ant, even if it is whatever it is, as far as they are living thing, Allah has put instinctively in them to protect themselves, right? So baby would want to live. They want to protect themselves. They want to be safe. Just as you as the mother is also trying to be safe, giving birth to your child and keep baby safe. So it's just what you are doing, trying to do, baby is also trying to do something else so it aligns so you get a safe event of giving birth. Mom is safe, baby is safe. That's what it is. Ants will go and hide. They would fake some animals will fake death just to protect themselves. Plants will prick you. Some plants will prick you just so you don't destroy them. Some plants will hibernate, right? They will stop making leaves and stems and everything else when the weather is harsh just to protect themselves and keep the energy or the rest of the nutrients that they have for the time they need it later, right? So it's a lot of things. Allah has put that in us. So whilst you are doing the hard work, baby is also doing the hard work, right? So yeah, coming back to the topic, midwives, yes, do a series of things, except that they don't also do C-section. They don't do episiotomy. A lot of them don't do it. Even, yeah, I know they don't do that. Yeah. So if you're giving birth with a midwife, they would do those basic things with you, and then if you need like an advanced medical care, then you can be transferred to the hospital, right? What happens if I am planning a home birth and I go into labor early before 37 weeks. If you go into labor before 37 weeks, you have to transfer to a hospital. And that's because of concerns about things like lung development and the fact that your baby may need to spend some time in the NICU. So you want quick access to that support, right? Because like I said earlier, 37 weeks, before 37 weeks, you are technically not term, right? You are not term. So 37 weeks and 6 days, 38 weeks is early term. Like you are entering the term, right? So having your baby going into labor, that's a premature labor, you go into labor before 37 weeks pregnant, technically your baby would need support. Your baby might need to be assessed to make sure that their lungs is working properly, to make sure that they don't need to stay in the NICU to be monitored for a few days or few hours, typically not hours, but for a few days before they are being discharged, and to make sure that they are able to feed, because when they come in too early, they wouldn't be able to like really, if you want to lactate and breastfeed, they wouldn't even be able to nurse, right? Directly from your from you. They would because they don't have that energy, right? They cannot breathe properly. How can they have that energy to expand? All right. How do you handle pain management during a home birth? There are so many ways, okay? I'm going to read it now. In a home birth, pain management is up to you and your partner and your doula more than your midwives. You will not have access to an epidural with home birth. However, there are some things you can do to cope with pain. In addition to laboring in water, tub, and or shower, there are coping techniques you can look into, like swaying your hips, mourning, using heating pads and or cool cloths, and trying different positions. For me, I found that leaning over and sticking my hips out and mourning helped me manage. This is a good conversation to have with your doula so that she can remind you to do hip squeezes, horse lips, mourning, and more. You can also ask your midwife if they have access to a TENS machine, electrical currents that can soothe your nerves, and laughing gas. They may have other suggestions about different techniques they've seen mamas get help and relief from. Right. So first of all, water is a very beautiful pain management tool. Okay? Getting into water, taking a shower, being in the tub is a beautiful pain management tool. So that's one of the things that a lot of women would use when you are in the shower with a very nice temperature. If you want it too cold, whatever temperature suits you, it's helpful. It soothes the nerves. It's helpful for you to like really manage the pain of contraction. Yeah. Eating, going into labor and you don't eat, sometimes can aggravate the pain because empty stomach makes you to feel like it's the pain is too much, right? So eating when labor starts, making sure that you're hydrating enough, you've ate a little bit before the second stage of labor starts, okay? Is beautiful. It's gonna help you. It's gonna help you to actually not feel a lot of the pain that if you didn't eat, you might be feeling a lot of pain because of hunger, because of the emptiness, because you don't have calorie to expend. Labor is a calorie expensive event. So you need to fuel in order for you to be able to run that marathon, right? So eating when labor starts, when you are able to manage going around, doing certain things, getting yourself busy, getting yourself distracted, it's a good thing to eat, to remember to fuel, to remember to hydrate so much so that when you start labor, when it gets very intense and you're in the second stage of labor, in the pushing stage, you can't eat. You don't have the desire to eat. You can do nothing, right? So the first stage is when you start to eat and hydrate yourself. Again, I know that some women, when they are in labor, they cannot eat, right? But when you have something that has natural sweetener in it, that is easy calorie, caloric, high caloric foods that have high carbohydrates, or like honey, for instance. Honey is sweet and it's also high in calorie, right? So you want to eat that because it's sweet. Honey sticks or honey itself, you lick on it, it gives you something desirable. It's very desirable, right? Just like eating dates. But maybe chewing the dates when you are having the labor can be tedious, can be hard. So that cannot be suggested enough. But if you have the date water, like if you have the nabis that I have shared before in my life, and then also as a video, you can check that out in my video tab, and the live I have done a few days ago. I did it a long time ago and I reposted it, right? So those things can be desirable for you to sip depending on what weather or the temperature you want. If you want it cold, it should be added, some ice should be added to it or put in the fridge. If you want it warm, it should be warmed for you. So those things can help to soothe you, all right? Yeah, like honey reduces the intensity of labor. It gives you that desire that something good is happening. And then also because it helps, like dates for instance, helps with the production of oxytocin. And oxytocin is a happy hormone. It's a love hormone. So when you are happy, even if you're feeling pain, what happens? You don't really feel the pain as much, right? So that's what it does. So eating that makes you to feel like, okay, to produce a lot of that oxytocin hormone, that your body will be sensed in a way that there's some sort of good feeling in your body, and the pain itself goes down a bit. It doesn't mean that the pain disappears or goes away, but you would not feel that intensity. Like I said, like eating, if you did not eat compared to eating, it makes the intensity of the pain even more greater, right? Okay. And then she mentioned that the TENS machine. TENS machine is a very little machine that you plug, and then there are like it looks like an electrodes, okay? It looks like electrodes, so you're gonna put those sticky things like electrodes on your hips or on your tummy or where the pain is, and then you turn it on, and then it's gonna like give you a shock. That shock is not painful. So that shock is like it's taking away the pain. It's taking away a nerve feeling of pain that you're feeling from the contraction, right? So that's TENS machine. I wish that I have a picture or something to show you, but I don't. All right. So, and then laughing. Laughing can help. It's a tool if you can, right? Tensing is an opposite tool of pain, right? So when you tense, it makes you to feel more pain than when you feel relaxed and you create a very relaxful atmosphere for yourself. That is even a it's kind of like you are surrendering. Like we started reading this book, I mentioned a lot. I talked a lot about surrendering, right? So you surrendering to Allah, what you cannot control, you give it to Him. He has that control. But what you can control, you do that, right? You take that responsibility. So that's one of the things. You cannot control the contraction. The contraction, whether you like it or not, is going to happen. But what you can do is to find ways to reduce that intensity of the contraction, the pain that you are feeling. So one of the things is just let go and feel relaxed and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth, and pace your breathing. And then also bringing in dhikr. Like I said, for me, listening to the Quran and pondering on it, reflecting on the ayat, especially some particular ayats in certain situations, make you to feel, yes, you are actually connected with the divine, with the creator of you, right? So listening to that can even enhance a beautiful, beautiful situation for you. So those are the coping mechanisms, the coping tools that you can. And then also your mindset. Your mindset. I said, your mind, where is it? Is your mind at the pain, paying attention to the pain, or your mind is at the beautiful thing that can happen and say, okay, I am really in this divine moment, and I'm not actually going to think about the pain. I'm not going to be concentrated on the pain, taking your mind away from it and letting your body absorb the pain without letting your soul absorb the pain, right? So that is one of the techniques. That's one of the things that you can also practice before birth even starts, before labor comes to you. All right. And then also there is the laughing gas. So it's like an oxygen thing that can be connected to you, to your nostrils. So when you're taking it, it makes you to feel the nitrate. Yeah, it says some people use it. They say nitrate. So the laughing gas, you put it, and then it's like makes you to feel very relaxed, and it reduces a little bit of the pain, the surges of the pain, the surges of contraction and the pain as well. All right. So there are so many other ways that you can manage the pain, and yeah. Okay. So how, and then walking. Walking can help as well. Walking, hip squeezes, massage, back massage, foot massage, yeah, all of those things can be very, very helpful for managing pain. All right. And then sleep. Yeah, sleep. Before the active transition stage starts, you sleep. Sleeping can help as well. I know it's hard sometimes to say that you're going to sleep through your contraction, through labor. But honestly, if you're in the first stage of labor, early labor, sleeping is very, very helpful because it's going to maintain your energy for later use. How is routine prenatal care handled with a home birth? Things like ultrasounds and lab tests. Many midwives groups do all the prenatal care right there in their offices. Some things like listening to heart tones with a phonoscope or Doppler, they can do in your home, but ultrasounds need to be done somewhere else. So if they don't have their own office space for this, they will send you to an office that they work with. Lab tests can be done in a midwife's office or in your home, and then they will be sent out to a lab. Yes, so you can do that as well. One thing also is some tests are not necessary. Okay, so some women would choose not to do certain things. Ultrasound, for instance, some women would choose not to do ultrasound at all. Yeah, because of their own reasons for not doing ultrasounds. You can look into it and see if that is something that you are interested in knowing more. I'm not discussing that here. So depending on what you want in your birth, you look into it and you discuss it with your provider, with your midwife. Midwives do a lot of the other things that manage or support healthy pregnancy. So if your pregnancy is healthy, is not, again, I said it again and again, previous reading, if your pregnancy is not a high risk pregnancy, going with a midwife is a favorable thing to do. Okay, it's a favorable thing to do for you and for your baby because you limit the cascade of intervention if you want to have a decent physiological birth, childbirth. All right, but going out to the hospital working with an OBGYN, yeah, that time you have to actually know which tests and which exams you actually want to do. Or if they suggest that you go on with every scan, every test, every this, every that, with the exams, cervical checks and stuff like that, and you are not into it, you can actually advocate for yourself and say, I don't want to go into with this. I can do one and then skip the other, or you determine, right? But midwives in general would not require a whole lot of cervical checks. And then the ultrasound is a no. So they would give you a referral out to go and do ultrasound, and then also some tests if they are not able to give that test. But basic tests, yes, they do that. They come on, they draw your blood, and they send it to the lab that they are kind of affiliated with, or the labs your insurance, if you are using insurance, your insurance accept, and the labs will be done, and you know the results, you know your levels. If you need to work on certain things to improve your levels, you do that, right? Yeah. So generally, a healthy pregnancy is best managed, is best with a midwife, only if you are having a high risk pregnancy. If you yourself, you are not well, or your pregnancy is not is a high risk pregnancy, yes, then you think very well, you read very well, you research very well, and you go with the care provider that is best suited for your situation. What about the mess in the bathtub, on my bed, anywhere? What about the smell? Do I have to sanitize everything? Who cleans up and how? Will I ruin my mattress? Your birth team will clean that all up while you are bonding with your baby. It's pretty awesome. I recommend layering a sheet over a mattress pad and then another sheet over a second mattress pad. That way, you can easily remove a layer or two until everything is more under control and you are no longer bleeding. Layering is a good idea in general. If you rent and have wall-to-wall carpet, for example, have some bed pads ready to throw around on the floor. Yes, okay, those blue pads that they use in the hospital, it's easy to get from the pharmacy. You can buy that, and lay it all on the bed if you want. I have these things that I also have. I used to have with with my girls, that when I was potty training them, I was training them to sleep throughout the night without wetting the bed when they were little. I got that. It's reusable bed pads. Okay, they use it in the hospital too, but this one is like really big and huge, and I don't want to get up to go and grab it, but I might look for it and put it in the link in the description box. Even if you have a child who you're trying to train with potty training or diaper training, you want to transition from using a diaper to using pants and underwears, you can use that, right? So that one of the one part is waterproof and another part is not waterproof. So you put the baby on, or the child on, the part that is not waterproof, is cotton, so it doesn't interfere with the skin of the baby. And then the part that is waterproof is on the bed actually. So when baby pees, when baby have an accident, it will not soil the mattress. It will not soil the sheets or the mattress, and you're gonna just take it out and replace it with another. Right? Baby or the child is gonna feel a little cold, and so they would know that they have peed on themselves and they wake up. Right? So the waking up process helps the child to actually say, oh, when they are sleeping, oh, I feel like I want to pee. Let me get up and go and pee and then come back and sleep again. Or let me get up, wake up mommy, and mommy is going to help me to go and pee and come back. Right? So that is how I taught my girls to not use the diaper at around 3 years, and it worked out so well for us, right? So it's one of the things that you can also use, and even it's great for during the month, okay? During the month, for us women who are experiencing, thank you, baby, who are experiencing some bleeds or heavy bleeds and stuff like that during the night, you can lay it on your bed and sleep on it. So when you wake up, it's not going to soil. You don't soil the bed, you don't soil the sheets, right? Sometimes it happens to a lot of women as well. Even postpartum, when you have the baby, sometimes there is like the case of incontinence, right? When you sleep, or when you sneeze during sleep or everything, anything, you see that uncontrollably you pee on yourself, right? So just to protect the sheets or wherever you're gonna sit in the couch, you can use those things as well. So yes, it's perfect for birth, and it's perfect for so many ways, for so many things in life as well. Okay, so where am I? Okay, so what about, it's pretty awesome. I recommend layering a sheet over a mattress, and then I read that. Okay. Bath doesn't have a lingering smell. It doesn't. Okay. You don't have to sanitize yourself from yourself. The fluid, everything else that came out from you and your baby is you. That's what makes you, and that's what makes your baby. Like last time I went to the dentist, I had a I went to the dentist. I had a root canal, and the the hygienist, yeah, one of the dentist assistants, was like, it's okay, because I have a very hard time sometimes when I go to the dentist for even like simple things, right? And for this one, root canal was hard. I couldn't even, my lips were dry. I couldn't swallow my saliva. It's not even something that I ever considered. And the the assistants, the hygienists, is it the hygienist or the dentist assistant, was like, it's okay. You can swallow your saliva. You can swallow your saliva. It's your saliva. So why would you why would you like keep it and not swallow it? I find it very gross, and I find it very hard to do. But when he said that and I tried it, it gave me a lot of relief. It made me feel like, oh, okay. So all this while I could do this and find relief, right? Because I cannot bulk that saliva and that blood in my mouth and looking for ways to speed it up, right? And it's gross on me. It's hard to even for me to like even be around anybody. So when that was said, I was like, oh, okay. And I tried it, and it was so much relief for me. Imagine. So it's the same thing. It is my saliva. It's my own blood, right? So I can swallow it. As far as it's not like a oozing blood, I don't have to swallow. As Muslims, we cannot eat blood, right? So it's not oozing blood. It's just a little blood with the saliva mixed together. If I can just swallow it a bit, and just to find relief for myself and then heal faster for myself. So it's the same thing. That's what she's saying. Um, you don't have to sanitize yourself from yourself, right? You sanitize some people from you. When you go out and you use the hand sanitizer, you are not sanitizing because you are dirty. You are sanitizing because of the uncertainties of others who actually have a poor hygiene, self-hygiene or something like that, right? Okay. So in a hospital, you are around other people's germs, right? So that's what I'm saying. But at home, it is just you and the baby that came out through you. And yeah, babies are the most purest and cleanest thing ever. If you cut your finger, you don't sanitize the whole house, right? Same thing. What about the second? What about the sound for women who live in apartments or in cities with lots of neighbors? Both of my home births were in two-bedroom apartment with tiny bedrooms, and no one heard me. With my first home birth, I did let my neighbor know, but they didn't hear anything anyway. Oftentimes, women tend to labor night when everyone is sleeping and no one is awake to be bothered. If you are in touch with your neighbors, you can give them a heads up, but they probably won't hear, or they would just think you are having you are having an intimate time with your spouse, with your husband. Questions and concerns about sound, smell, and mess are all good questions. And I find them very interesting because they seem to stem from the prevailing medical philosophy of birth that we've all been socialized on. That birth is dirty, loud, scary, messy, and well, weird. But it's not weird. In fact, it is very normal and common. It is not, it's no louder or messier than a party you might host. You don't have to apologize for your body. You don't have to be afraid of its sounds and smells and movement. Okay? Yeah. So this is self-explanatory. I don't have to explain anything here. Will my dog or cat freak out? That's those people who have cats and dogs. This comes down to knowing your pet. If they are clingy and nasty with others or just anxious in general, it is probably a good idea to put them out in a yard or make arrangements for them to be somewhere else safe. Creating your birth space includes who you let into it. If a pet has a stressed out vibe, then just like with an anxious human, they should be kept out of your space. Most pets are pretty chill about birth, though It is an animal experience after all, and it's not such a big deal for them. I have seen some beautiful photos of little doula dogs patiently and gently attending birthing women. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, when you have especially cats, um, they make they make a very beautiful doula. They are there cuddling with you because cats are very clingy, right? So yeah, if you have concerns about that, you know your pet, you know your situation, you know who you want to bring into your birth. If your pet is one of them, why not? If your pet is not, why not? Do what you can do to avoid them. All right. Where do I give birth? What if I have a really small house? What if I rent? That's going to be different for everyone. Listen to your instinct. If you need a squat, squat. If you need to squat, squat. If you are tired but you need to squat, squat on the toilet. If you need to be in the dark in an enclosed space, go there. You don't need a whole lot of space in to be on your knees and moaning or squatting on pushing. When you give birth in a hospital, you are in a hospital room, and that's not a very big space. And in a hospital, there can be a dozen people coming in and out of that small space with all kinds of big monitors and machines and what's not. But home birth is intimate, small, just for you. You don't need a lot of space. If you need to make a corner, that's for you. Clean and nice with the vibe and energy you want for your birth. And tell everyone in your house not to touch that area, not to make it dirty. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming there's nothing in your renter's lease that says you can't give birth in your apartment. Just have someone on your birth team lay down pads so you don't stain the rag if you are renting. That's if you have rags. If you have like a rag in the whole house, yeah, for that, if even something stains on it, it's gonna smell, right? So you want to, just for you not to, you want to not have a smell carpet, right? But otherwise, why not? Okay, because I have known and I have seen a lot of women who have given birth in one bedroom apartment. This sister gave birth 2 times, home birth, 2 times. Even that, no midwife was there. There's no midwife, there's no nothing. She only got assistance from a midwife, a community midwife, through the phone, okay? And she gave birth the first time. It worked out excellently with her husband. And the second time, again, she did the same thing. And it worked out excellently. And I know another woman, another sister, who has given birth alone with her husband in an apartment. So a lot of women do that, especially in this country here in New York, in New Jersey, in California, in Chicago, in North Carolina. Oh my God, a whole bunch. Right. So yeah, it depends on what you want to choose. And I have also seen some women give birth like they are in their home giving birth in other countries, right? Only that the amenities are not the greatest, right? Okay. How much does it cost? If there was ever a variation of normal answer, this will be it. The cost of birth in general and the cost of home birth in particular vary so much. It depends on the state or country you live in, your insurance, and the midwives. The best advice I give you is to ask around. Ask around, especially you can start with a doula because doulas can have varied information about certain midwives, if they have worked with midwives extensively. Yeah. If not, you ask around and you do your own research. You ask if there are birth centers that you can go visit and ask around. Midwives, care provider. Midwives are the provider of choice for nearly all home births. So choosing the best midwives for you is key for a home birth. While there are many excellent midwives, the same are in choosing a provider should be taken as when choosing an OBGYN. We need to have an honest conversation about hiring midwives. I have to be real with you. Not all midwives are created equally. I thought they were, and it puts me in a situation of mismanaged care, not being supported emotionally or physically, and a transfer that ended in a repeat C-section. Am I blaming the midwife? Yes, mostly. It is her profession, and she completely misread and mismanaged the care. What should I have done differently, and what was my responsibility in it? I could have asked more questions of other home birthers in the area, as well as the midwife. I could have educated myself further on the variations of midwifery care, which depends on the midwives themselves and the credentials they hold. I had to learn from this experience and take the new knowledge with me into my next experience. That is how we gain wisdom. Yes. It's what we do with these experiences and information moving forward that matter. And because of that experience, I'm willing to say it. Sometimes midwives are not great, but they can be great. They can absolutely be wonderful. I think women are afraid that if they speak up when a midwife gives unsupportive advice or shames a woman or makes her feel uncomfortable or unsafe, that they will be ostracized from their communities. The truth is, we need to be willing to ask about our experiences. We need to hold midwives just as accountable as we hold OBs. Being a home midwife is hard work. There is a fine line between giving the woman space and options and also making sure they are having the safe birth. And I don't think that's for the faint of heart. Being a home midwife takes strength and competence. You need someone who values safety over their ego. You need a level-headed midwife, and she needs competent, level-headed backup because being a midwife is exhausting. You need someone who knows when you need more and when to transfer you to the hospital. So when it comes to hiring a midwife, a home birth midwife, just as with all care providers, you need to interview them and their backup or support team thoroughly, maybe even more thoroughly than you would your hospital or birthing center care provider. I have said it before and I will keep saying it. Who you bring into your birth space matters. Just as there is a variation in care with OBs, there's going to be a variation of care with midwives. There are different kinds of midwives: a licensed professional midwife, that's LPM, a certified professional midwife, that's CPM, and a certified nurse midwife, that's CNM, with the last being the highest level of training. Again, a lot comes down to state laws and what level of education they require midwives to have, as well as to what education the midwife wants. It's okay to ask, what's your level of training? How many years of experience do you have? What are your maternal and infant outcomes? But also keep in mind that it's not merely the letters they carry behind their name, but who they are as person, of course. Okay? Yes, very, very, very important. Just as an obese, Notice how they treat the people they care for and how they treat spouses and partners. Additional questions you may want to ask at home midwives include: what emergency equipment do you bring and when do you set it up? Immediately, so that it's available if needed. How many trained people will you have with you? What is your training and experience? How do you monitor baby and me after birth? What are your transfer rates and how do you handle transfer? Part of safe midwifery care is knowing when to transfer. For those of us who are fighting hard to have a home birth VBAC, that can be hard. That can be a hard pill to swallow. But put on objective goggles about transfer rates. Ask why those women were transferred. It's not just the rate or number of transfers that matters. There's difference between transferring because this midwife wasn't supporting home birth and doing so because she knows when to call for a transfer. She knows when safety and health are at risk. Consider the following: how close are you to the hospital? How feasible is good backup care? Okay. Okay, we have a lot to read. I'm going to read a little bit when it's 1 o'clock. Then I call it a day. All right, pain management. All right, one of the biggest concerns with home birth is how to deal with pain. Fears can arise when you know you don't have access to an epidural if you should decide you want one. Know that you can transfer if you decide you need that pain medication, but also spend time before labor processing what to do with pain when it comes. The reality is you are going to feel pain. Your body and your life are opening up to birth a human being. No matter how this baby comes out, you are going to feel pain at some point. You don't get an epidural postpartum. If only. You can't avoid it and you can't tiptoe around it. See it as part of the transition process. Prepare yourself to work through it. Something for you to think about in the weeks leading up to birth. What will help soothe you? What to do with pain? What to do with pain? Don't ignore it. Make space for it. Like I was mentioning about tensing up, okay? So tensing up also increases pain. So if you know that tensing up will increase pain, what do? You learn relaxation techniques. You learn what helps you to relax, what helps you to not tense too much, so that it can help with some of the pain, for you to manage some of the pain. Okay. Self-care during home birth. You are allowed to change your mind without shame. Again, you are allowed to change your mind. Give yourself the space to do so. Right now, give yourself permission to change your mind at any time during this journey. When my friend's partner got his wisdom teeth pulled out, at first he said he didn't need any extra pain medication. When he changed his mind an hour later, asking for the pain medication, she didn't say to him, "But you said you didn't want it before. What happened? Are you too weak to go without it?" No. She simply understood that his need changed. Yes. And it's valid. Your need changed, your mindset changed. Yeah. All right. That he wanted different care, and she gave him the meds. Why is it so different for women? Why is it that if we say we want an unmedicated birth and then we decide we needed something to ease the pain, we are made to feel shame and failure? Or if we want a home birth and then decide a hospital feels better and that can go both ways. Maybe you are planning a home birth, but no one you know ever has, and they are judging you, or you normally identify as a natural crunchy mama, so your friends are judging you for wanting to birth in a hospital. Stop trying to fit a label or meet an expectation. Do you, and you are allowed to grow and change. We can't allow that shame into our birth space or our lives. We have to honor what feels right to us as women. We know, you know where it feels safe, where it feels right, and how to listen to that intuition even when nobody else understands. This goes for listening when it changes too. Do not justify your why, but instead demand respect, care, and your absolute right to change your mind. You can be an incredibly intuitive person no matter where and how you birth. You don't have to be birthing near a waterfall under a rainbow to be in touch with your intuition. Sometimes you just need space. This needs to be said when it comes to home birth self-care. Just because you have an all-natural home birth in water does not mean that you are going to be okay with every single thing that happens throughout your labor and your birth. It also doesn't mean you won't have postpartum depression or other postpartum mental and physical health challenges. If you need to say, I am not okay, that I wasn't listened to, or I don't like how my cervical lip was handled, or my doula or my midwife didn't hold space for me, then give yourself the space for that honesty. Home birth can be beautiful, soothing, and in my experience, an empowering and healing birth. But if there are things that don't feel right to you, you still get to say that. You still get to own your feelings and process your experience in a space of love and support. Home birth plan template. So we're going to read the template, what you want to do if you're planning a home birth. Some of the questions you ask yourself even. Okay, so your name, your demographics, the baby, boy, girl, whatever. Estimated due date, midwife, team, if applicable, your doula, other support people. Okay, so that's we, you, and your husband, prefer the following during labor and birth. Environment to be regulated according to mother's preference, such as conversations and noises kept to a minimum. Light dimmed or off. Specific music or playlist to be played, that's specific Quran and ayat or surahs. Water kept to a comfortable temperature range in birthing tub, if applicable. Specific essential oils to be diffused, etc. Essential oils can be even used anywhere. Whatever birth you're choosing, wherever you want to choose, you can have that, sweetie. Teach young baby. You can have that in the hospital. You can have that in the hospital setting or home birth setting, anywhere. Essential oils can be very soothing. Okay. Sweetie, that thing makes noise, I think. Like, and I shouldn't know. No mention two. Let's move on to the next one. No mention or discussion of time unless mother asks. There shouldn't be absolutely no mention or discussion of time, right? Because time is what you make it, right? So if mother is in labor and she's being told you've passed 3 hours, you've passed 10 hours, then she starts to rush time. She starts to rush herself. And rushing yourself means stalled labor. Rushing yourself means stalled labor. And you don't want that for yourself. Okay? All right. Okay. Sweetie, that thing is making a little bit of noise. Okay, so move on to the next. It said to be left alone with father when requested. To be left alone with father when requested. Next, cervical checks kept to a minimum and done only when deemed medically necessary by midwife and consented to by mother. Mother is GBS positive and consent or does not consent to chlorhexidine wash during labor. Mother is GBS positive and consent or does not consent to antibiotics or early labor when water breaks. Use of Doppler for intermittent fetal monitoring. Monitor of mother's vitals to be kept to a minimum unless mother deemed it medically necessary. Recommendations to ease labor such as breathing techniques, pain relief, hot and or cold compress, etc. Healthy snack suggestions and reminders to stay hydrated to maintain mother's energy. Yes. Frequent checking in and encouragement during labor. Freedom to move and choose position during labor and pushing stage. Suggestions and or help to guide pushing if needed. Midwife to give or not to give perineal support and or massage during labor. Mother or father to catch the baby if requested. Birth photographer to be present to take pictures if applicable. No one else present during labor without mother's consent. Okay. We prefer the following immediately after birth and postpartum. That's immediate postpartum care. Skin to skin bonding with baby immediately after birth. Mother or father to announce the gender if it is unknown. An initiation of breastfeeding as soon as possible after birth if this is the mother's wish. Natural delivery of the placenta. No managed third stage of labor or cord traction unless intervention is medically necessary for safety of mother. Delayed clamping and cutting until umbilical cord has stopped pulsating. Allow father to cut the umbilical cord or do cord burning if preferred. Delayed newborn measurements and tests until after sufficient skin-to-skin bonding and initial breastfeeding, unless medical necessity dictates otherwise. No silver nitrate eye gel or vitamin K shot to be given to child immediately following birth without mother's consent. Discard delayed or alternatives. Child is to be kept with mother all the time. Note, if a hospital transfer is necessary, please refer to the hospital birth plan in Chapter 4. If a C-section is necessary after transferring to the hospital, please refer to the cesarean birth plan in Chapter 5. Okay, so we read all of those things previously. If you're interested in following up with those, you can check my previous lives reading to check with that. Provider self-care. This is true for all care providers, but I want to say it loud and clear, in particular when it comes to at-home care providers who won't necessarily have the backup that those in a hospital setting do. Birth workers, from doulas to nurses to midwives to OBs, need to practice self-care. All birth workers need to practice self-care. If you have an exhausted, strained, worn-out provider, they are more likely to make decisions or say things that are unsafe or unsupportive. In a home birth, if a midwife is exhausted and is the only one with you, or if your midwife is strained because she is pregnant or postpartum herself, that is not practicing good self-care. It is vital that we create and expect a culture of self-care not only for pregnant and postpartum women and their families, but for care providers too. If you are a birth worker and reading this, I want to say this. I know that it is a hard profession, and it is a hard profession to practice self-care in. It's hard to get enough sleep, to set enough boundaries. I know as care providers, you want to support your patients and give them the care you know they deserve. But don't forget about you. You have to take time off. Choose sleep, say no, set boundaries, accept help. Birth workers need to practice self-care before preaching it. And so, as the person birthing, you can ask it of your provider. Are you too tired? What do you do for yourself? What backup support will you have? These are all good questions to ask, both for your own information and because it humanizes your provider. Birthing centers versus home birth. Some women wanting something in between a home birth and a hospital birth will opt for a birthing center birth. Birthing centers vary, but in general, they are set up with the idea of a home in mind, yet in close proximity to medical care. Some feel very homey, others feel more like small, intimate hospital. As with all things, there are great birthing centers and not so great birthing centers. They also vary a lot in terms of their relationship to hospitals, the kind of care providers they have on staff, and even the vibe in the space. Some birthing centers are a lot more laid back and homey, while others are a more comfortable option within a hospital type setting. You need to do your due diligence and collect information about the individual birthing centers and the midwives and sometimes the overseeing OBs who will care for you and your baby. A lot of the variation in birthing centers and birth options in general comes down to state laws. So look into your state laws, and just as with home birth and midwives and OBs, consult and interview different practices. There are a few additional questions you may want to ask when interviewing birthing center provider. For example, is it certified professional midwife based or certified nurse midwife based? A certified professional midwife is a midwife who has met the certification requirements of the American Registry of Midwives by serving as an apprentice to a proficient midwife or graduating from an accredited midwifery school or program, both of which require completing the entry-level portfolio evaluation process. A certified nurse midwife is a registered nurse who has completed a graduate-level nurse midwife program accredited by the Accreditation Commission for Midwifery Education and passed the certification exam administered by the American Midwifery Certification Board. Other kinds of midwives to look for are certified midwives, CMs, who will have completed a graduate level midwife program accredited by ACME and passed the certification exam administered by the American Midwifery Certification Board, and law and lay midwives, LMs, uncertified or unlicensed midwives whose training usually consists of an apprenticeship or self-study. Are they supportive or vaginal and unmedicated out of hospital birth? Off. What are their transfer rates? How do they handle transfers? Why do their transfers happen? And what are the outcomes? If I transfer, will my midwife stay with and support me through the change birth experience? Will I still have supported postpartum care? Will I have the same midwife the whole time, or are you on a call schedule? Do you have OBs who oversee the practice? Also keep in mind that birthing centers will often have more restrictions than home birth and hospital birth. You may be risked out based on your BMI, your history of going postpartum, and your history of C-sections and VBACs. Again, this likely depends on state laws as well as the views and capabilities of the midwives or the OBs or hospital policies. I'm starting to get tired and I'm almost done, alhamdulillah. So I have some few more pages, 1.5 pages to read. I'm not going to read the partner point of view. Like I haven't been reading that. Okay, so birthing center birth plan template. You're gonna write all the demographics. This is this one, okay? All the demographics, your name, baby's gender, your husband's name, everything else. And then I'm going to go ahead and read what I'm supposed to be reading. I or we prefer the following during labor and delivery. Membranes are not to be artificially ruptured. That means you don't want your water to be broken. As few medications and all medical interventions as necessary. Pain medication is not to be offered unless mother requests it. Saline lock or hep lock to be used instead of continuous IV if an IV is deemed necessary. Okay? All right. Freedom to move and choose position during labor and pushing stage. Use of intermittent fetal heart monitor. If continuous monitoring is medically necessary, a portable or wireless fetal heart monitor is preferred. Yeah, so the monitor that is going to hook you up, that is going to be hooked up on you and you can't move. You have to be stationed in a bed, hospital bed, or at one place. That is not a good idea. So you want something that is more portable, that you can get up and move and come back and be very active during labor. All right. Labor augmentation techniques are not to be used. No restrictions on mother's urge to push. Okay? So it's going to be mother-led pushing instead of provider-assisted pushing or provider-led pushing. A long aesthetic to perineal area only if a local anesthetics. A local anesthetic to perineal area only if mothers feel it's necessary. Risk tearing perineum instead of episiotomy. Okay, so I was saying that you would want to prefer tearing instead of the episiotomy. Natural delivery of the placenta. I or we prefer the following immediately after delivery and postpartum skin-to-skin bonding with baby immediately after birth, initiation of breastfeeding as soon as possible after birth if mama wishes for it, Clamping and cutting umbilical cord delayed until it has stopped pulsating. Thank you. Allow father to cut the umbilical cord. Newborn measurement tests and or procedures to be delayed until after sufficient skin-to-skin bonding, initiating breastfeeding unless medical necessity dictates otherwise. Okay. I'm going to drink a little bit of water. Kind of thirsty. Reading for almost 1 hour now. Oh, for almost 2 hours. Thank you, baby. Okay. So, allow father to cut the umbilical cord, newborn measurement tests and or procedures to be delayed until after sufficient skin-to-skin bonding and initial breastfeeding, unless medical necessity dictates otherwise. No silver nitrate, eye gel, or vitamin K shot to be given to baby immediately following birth without mother's consent. If needed, mother will sign the waiver before the surgery. Baby is to be kept in room with mother at all times for the duration of the birthing center stay. All medical tests and or procedures are to be done in room with mother and partner present at all times. If visitors arrive, please consult with mother and or father before allowing them in the room. No pacifiers, artificial nipples, bottles, formula, or water are to be given to baby for the duration of the birthing center stay without mother's and or father's consent. Okay, so these are very important things that I have been reading all this while for the immediate postpartum period. It is very important if you are going to give birth to know all of these things, the importance of all of those things. We've been reading them. I've been explaining that all this while. So if you're interested, you can go back to start watching all of the other chapters that we read. I have read chapter 7 today of the Birth Without Fear book. I explain a lot. We discussed a lot, and yeah, I think it's very, very beneficial if you can go back. If you are just joining me, you can go back and start watching and pick up some pointers. I am right now on chapter 116. I started reading chapter 97, and I am now on chapter 116. I am now, I'm not going to read the partner point of view. Like, I have not been reading that since I started reading this book with you. So if you pick up this book, you can read that part. It gives you a little bit of insights of the idea of what people are going through or are planning their births and stuff like that, and what partners think about the birth of their spouses or their women. Okay, so it's good to go through it if you have the book. If not, it's not anything bigger than what we have been reading already. Okay, all of these things that I've been reading are more very beautiful information, and then I explaining on top of it as well is very, very helpful, beneficial. If you have not seen me read before, this is your first time, I come on every weekend to read this book. and sometimes weekdays in the evening to read a book. We started with this book, The Birth Without Fear, and we are now on chapter 7, and we will be reading until we finish. I read and I explain a lot of the times, but sometimes I only read when I see that there is no further explanation that I should do. Okay? So if you're interested, please join me every weekend. I come on typically around 10:30 or 11. By 11, I should be starting to read, and we discuss a whole bunch about birth. And then after reading this book, we're going to pick up a book. I mentioned that we're going to be reading Postpartum Depletion Cure, but I won't be reading that. I'm going back to reading another birth book, Amani birth book, because that is most relatable to us as Muslim women. So yeah, if you're interested in picking up one, you can get that book on Amazon. It's a nice, cute little read. And that's it. Okay, inshallah, I will see you tomorrow or tonight, depending on how things work out for me. And I'll come back again to read, or I will set up a live stream, inshallah, and I'll be behind the scene. Whilst you have any questions, you ask me, and then I'll answer that, inshallah. Before I leave, if you have any questions, let me know. I see some couple of people here still. So if you have any question, you can let me know, and then I will answer that before I call it a day, inshallah. I have not been seeing any comment coming. I'm not sure if I closed that because I was going through my app and then blocking certain things, putting some words in there, so those bullies, cyber bullies, will not come on my life and start making it a show for themselves. Okay, so I don't know, maybe I did too much and now I don't see a lot of chats. When I finish, then I see that there's quite some few chats that I missed, maybe. I don't know. All right. All right, so if there is no other questions, I can call it a day. And it's Zuhur. I'm going to pray Zuhur. And I'll see you maybe inshallah this evening or tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.